You've knit a few pair of socks and you're really getting the hang of things and you're ready to try something a little different. That's what we're looking at in this video. 10 different sock patterns that are pretty creative and unique. Some with no heels, some that start at the heels, lots of different ways to add something fun and interesting to your next pair of socks. Hey Nerdy Knitter, Tanya here. I'm a certified knitting instructor and a master hand knitter, and the goal here at Nerdy Knitting is to help you become a more confident, adventurous knitter. And sometimes that means tackling something new and innovative and interesting like the sock patterns we're going to look at today. All of them are from Ravelry, some of them are free, some of them are paid, lots of different choices and sock patterns to check out. These first two are comments that were left by viewers about their recommendations for unique sock patterns. The first one is the no heel spiral sock pattern by La Maison Relie on Ravelry is excellent. Toe up, no heel, and an easy to remember 6-ish row repeat finished with a simple ribbed cuff. Brilliant beginner pattern as there's no heel to contend with. So let's go take a look at that pattern. So this is a free pattern that's available on the La Maison Relie website, and it comes in 6 different sizes. So you want to check out the pattern notes to learn more about that. Here you can see the socks. I love that she does the contrast cuffs and toes for something more interesting. Now, what's going on here is we're starting at the toe and we are knitting the length of the foot and then the leg and no heel at all. Instead, we have this stitch pattern that sort of spirals around the leg and that holds the sock in place. If you look closely, you can see there's no heel here. We just have this interesting rib pattern that hugs the foot, keeps things in place, and I love how it flows right into the rib. That's a really nice touch when a designer intentionally works the edge stitches to flow right into the pattern. So if you want to try a sock, and this one that was recommended, they say because there's no heel, it's very beginner friendly. So if you're ready to try a toe up sock, this could be a really fun one to try. Our next recommendation comes from Sally Ann. I've made a pattern called pole dance, which was interesting. You do the cuff, then half the sock, go all the way down to the toe and back up the front, zipping it up as you go. I enjoyed it to knit and it fits okay. Let's take a look at this one. This sounds really interesting. Now this one comes in 2 different sizes and it's adjustable. I'm not sure about that. You'll have to check out the pattern to see how. And it's also a free pattern. So you could download this right from Ravelry and get an idea of how it's constructed. I love how she's contrasted and changed the colors here and how she's combined that self-striping yarn with the contrast gray. So this looks really neat. So we've got, perhaps it's one section you're working here, maybe this gray, and then come down and then you work the other half. I'm not sure about this construction, but these look really neat. Oh, I like that with the ombre yarn. That's really pretty. So this is worth checking out for a free pattern. This is a neat construction. Let's see if there's anything in these notes here. Okay, the notes say that they are worked flat in 2 sections except for the cuff and the toe. Heel is a no wrap short row heel tucked into the first section of the sock. Stitches are picked up along the edges of the first panel so the second panel can be joined as you go along. No intarsia, no seaming. Spiraling is achieved with simple increases and decreases at the beginning and end of each knit row. And there's 2 different types of toe constructions that you can work. Now there are no specific sizes, but instructions are given to make this work with whatever magic number you typically use for socks. So those first 2 recommendations were from viewers. They're both free, so you can download them and check them out right away. And they're just really neat. And I think both of them are worth checking out. Definitely, I mean, they're free. You can download them and really look at that construction and how it's done. They both sound really unique. The next 3 on our list are all colorwork patterns. And I don't mean simple color work. These are all stranded color work starting right at the cuff all the way down to the toe, stranded color work the whole way. And I think color work is a great way to add some interest to your socks. You can add just simple stripes if you want, a little motifs in stranded color work, mosaic or other slip stitch patterns. There's lots of ways to add some color, but these 3 patterns I feel are a step up from that. Like they are color work from the beginning to the end, the whole sock. They're all very pretty and very unique. So let's take a look. So this pattern is $8 and it does come in just one size, but I know there are other sizes. It tells you how to adjust the sizing and it includes a wider width size as well. These are the Starry Night Socks by Suzanne Bryan. And I just think they are absolutely lovely. I love how she mirrors the colors we've got a white background here with the navy blue flowers, and then she reverses it on this sock. And I just think it's so pretty, and how she's got these stripes that run down and then you can see them along. However, she's working the heel flap and gusset here and even continuing the stripes right down to the toe. I just think they are beautiful. There's a shot of the foot right there. You can see how the stripes are continued on the sole of the foot. That looks really neat. Now in the notes here, it says there are charts and written instructions, as well as links to videos demonstrating specific techniques that are needed. And then there's an optional workshop document, and I think she has videos too, where she did live streams about just specifically about these socks, about the yarns, the colors, stranded knitting in general, reading the pattern charts. So there's lots of bonus information here as well. So I think these are definitely worth checking out. Now our second colorwork pattern is the Dwarf Uprising socks. I'm not going to attempt to say the original German name, but the pattern is in German and it's also here in English. And it's about €6. And I just love the design on this one. That little dwarf right on the heel turn area, I think is so adorable. So it's just a different type of construction. Well, not construction so much as just the way the colorwork motifs are used in an interesting way. So we can see it's got one color for the cuff and the heel flap and the toe. And then we have the stranded colorwork that is worked along the leg and the foot of the sock. So you still have your classic heel flap here, but then as we saw, the heel turn includes this really cute little dwarf. Okay, we can see the construction better here. There's our heel flap and heel turn. So those are still pretty standard. It's just the inclusion of all of the stranded knitting. I just think it's lovely. So this is a great way to just take your basic pair of socks and really change it up. Now the notes say that the colorwork part is actually pretty simple because there are almost no floats to cross on the inside. So what's going to happen here is that you are changing colors so often that you never have to carry any yarn floats, which is nice in a sock because it can be easy to catch your toe or your toenail on some long floats. So that's a really nice touch. Let's take a look at our last colorwork recommendation, Solar Flares by Anna Makila. Now this is also a free pattern and it comes in 4 different sizes. She has them listed by their stitch counts, which is really interesting. So if you know about the stitch number you like to use for your socks, then you can just choose the one that's closest to your number. So we can see we've got the contrast color for the cuffs, heels, and toes. It's a really neat heel flap type construction here, and that looks like the gusset right there, worked with this stranded color work here. We've got the motifs along the instep and also along the back leg. I like how she's divided them up, so all of like your sock techniques are worked in these striped areas, and the color work's continued right along the bottom. And I also like her color choices, how you've got that yellow as sort of your background color, and then I'm wondering if she used like a self-striping yarn to get like sort of this effect of stripes across. I guess that's the background color. The pattern color is in yellow. The background is sort of this subtle striping that's going on there. It's really neat. This is a really fun color choice. So the background color, it is sort of this gradient rainbow, and then white is used to do the pattern of the flowers and the stripes on the heel right here that you can see. Now this is an interesting heel. Let's see if the pattern tells us more about that. Oh, the only thing it says is other heel. So it's a different type of heel construction. It looks familiar, but I can't quite place what the name of this one is. But we do have sort of this heel, some kind of a short row heel flap right here. And then there are gusset stitches right there, it looks like. So anyway, interesting heel, interesting choice, and I just love the colors that she's used in these socks. So if stranded color work is something that you'd really like to tackle with your socks, then those would be great patterns to give it a try. And the next 3 patterns are what I would call interesting heels. There's something different about the way these heels are worked or stitch patterns that are used that just changes them up a little bit. Now, the first one is called Vanilla is the New Black by Anna Fletcher. This one is $6 Canadian, and it comes in 5 different sizes. This one is also listed with the stitch counts. So you would pick the size that you know you use for the socks that you knit. For example, I like to knit a sock with 72 stitches. I have a kind of a wide foot. 72 stitches works well, so that's probably the size that I would choose if I were going to knit these. The notes tell us that this sock uses something called a strong heel. And now this doesn't refer to the type of heel, like it's not super strong. It's referring to the name, the last name of the woman who invented this style of heel. It's a different type of heel construction, so definitely worth checking out. So in a strong heel, what's happening is you're working your gusset first. In the normal sock, you've got your heel flap, that little square of fabric that you work, and then after you pick up your stitches, you have all these gusset stitches that you decrease along the sides. That gives you those little triangles of fabric. But in a strong heel, that's reversed, and the gusset is worked first. And I love how it's a very simple, plain sock, but in that gusset, she's working this 2x2 rib pattern. As you're increasing your stitches, you're creating this rib pattern. And you can see the heel turn happens down here, but by the time you finished, you have decreased all of those gusset stitches instead of decreasing them after. So it's a really neat way to knit a sock. Oh, I like how she's done the sock here with this bit of texture. Whenever the color changed to that rainbow color, it looks like she purled those stitches to get some texture. What a neat idea to do that. So this one is actually pretty simple sock, but if you want to try a different heel construction, then this is worth checking out because it's a different way to knit a heel. Next in our interesting heel section is Cabley Wabley by Liz Sedmark. This is also a free pattern, comes in 2 different sizes. Now these socks are knit toe up according to the notes, and the heel is knit sideways. And then the top of the leg features a knit on band. So you finish the leg and then you work sideways across the top. So that is pretty neat. Lots of different textures going on here. So toe up, and it has you're sort of increasing for your gusset, and then there is the heel, which, yes, you can see that stitch pattern is moving across it horizontally instead of vertically. I like this little detail here, this one stitch that sort of travels along the side and across the top right here. Looks like we've got some twisted stitches in here and little cables. And then this section up here is knit, again, that horizontal direction instead, that knit on band. And then the cuff is finished like a normal cuff. Really neat. I don't know how she has done this, but it seems like it would be really fun to try. So if you want to try a different type of heel, now this is technically a heel, a gusset and a heel flap. It looks a little bit different than a normal square heel flap. You can see it's more rounded here. Very neat sock. So it's definitely one to try for something a little bit different. Then last for our interesting heels is this free pattern called Squircel. Now it features lots of fun stripes. This one is worked cuff down. Now the notes say it's a simple way of constructing a sock by reducing the heel flap to a very small strip and working an extended gusset in its place. The rounds form a right angle around the ankle and instep, which gradually softens into a continuous round, hence the reference to the mathematical problem of squaring the circle. And it also says the specific construction makes this ideal to use up all of the small leftovers that you seem to acquire, but it also showcases a nice self-striping yarn with more substantial stripes. Now for sizes, it says any, and then there's a note here that you'll be able to adapt this pattern to any stitch count needed by doing some very basic math. So it's a free pattern. You can download it and check it out to see if this is something you'd like to try. So we've got a very long cuff here, and there you can see the heel flap is right here along the back, that long strip of garter stitch fabric. And then stitches are picked up along here, and you get these long decrease lines. So it's technically a heel flap and gusset, but it changes things, of course, because that heel flap is very narrow. And I like that really strong line that's formed right there along the edge. Definitely a unique construction, free pattern. Download it and check it out. These next few patterns actually change things quite a bit. We're not starting at the cuff and working to the toe, or starting at the toe and working to the cuff. We're starting at the heel in the middle and working out in both directions from there. I have never knit a sock like this, so I have no idea how this construction works. If you've done this, I'd love to hear about it, so please leave us a comment and tell us how that process went. But when you're searching Ravelry, if you check under all of the sidebar, you'll see all of these different things you can check off to change the patterns that show up. And there's a section called sock techniques under the attributes, and you can look there to see lots of different ways to change the types of socks that you're searching for. So because there are a lot of sock patterns on there, so this narrows things down depending on like the type of heel you like or the toe you like, and you can even narrow things down further using these different attributes. So our first start in the middle socks is the Nordwan socks. These are about €4, and you can see they've got some really fun, pretty color work here. So it looks sort of like it starts like a top-down hat. You can see some increases worked. You're starting here, you're increasing to create this round shape, and of course it looks like it uses stranded color work. And then maybe it's connected here along the top, and then you're working out from there for the leg and the toe. Just definitely neat though. I just think it looks really cool. Oh yep, you can see right there. It looks like some sort of a join is used across the top right there. So the notes tell us that a hexagon is formed by using increases. Two opposite sides are then grafted together using Kitchener stitch, and then two more sides form the leg and the cuff, and the other two the foot and the toe. The sizes are adjustable, which is particularly good for feet with high instep. Now the Pharaoh pattern is charted, so you can follow along with the chart, and it includes some photos and explanations and sizing options as well. Now the next sock in this grouping is the Cheshire Cat socks by Louise Robert. Now this one is $5 US. So like the other one, this one starts with a heel, and then the leg and the foot are worked from those heel stitches. It's all the information we get from this, but it looks like they used a self-striping yarn. So this one you can see we're starting here, and it looks sort of like when you do a toe up sock, you've got these lines right here where you start there and you're increasing along the sides to get this shape here. And then it looks like it's probably joined right there. And then we've got stitches going this way for the leg, and it's got a cable up going up the front, and then in the other direction for the toe. Great way to use a self-striping yarn. There's a look at that cable. Very simple, just a simple cable. I feel like socks like this would be good for somebody who's got a larger or wider heel or a high instep, because you can knit that first to see how it's going to fit across that part of your foot, that instep area, or that heel diagonal. Very neat construction anyway. Definitely something to give a try. Socks that start with a heel. So those are just 10 patterns with unique or different sock constructions or elements going on, but I'm sure there are plenty more, and you probably know about some, and I would love to hear about them. So please leave a comment and share your sock pattern recommendations that use unique construction methods or unique things going on in those socks. I'd love to hear about them. Perhaps if we have enough comments about that, we can do another video sharing your favorite unique socks. But I do have a video I want to share, and I'm going to put it right here. These are all free sock patterns that were recommended by other viewers. I went through their comments that they left, and we took a look at the socks that they recommended. So you can click right there, and I'll see you in the next video.